gentlemen, this is Anand, editor, Dynamic Manufacturing India, and this is the day 7 of Industry Samurai Conference and Awards event. I'm very excited to be hosting today's day. In particular, we have a young entrepreneur with us who's been the founder of many successful technology startups, and he is going to share with us presentation on Metaverse, uh, about particularly about the digital revenues in the Metaverse. We have Mr. Puneet Badrinath, who's the founder of Fabrik. Fabrik with a K, which you can access at fabrik.space, that is fabric.space, is the metaverse apps platform for individuals, businesses, and enterprises to create their own metaverses with a few clicks. Fabric runs on the browser and is extended reality ready out of the box platform, ranging from critical components in the aviation industry to experiential products like wireless earphones. Fabric has worked with multiple sectors with global customers on interesting visualization solutions. Fabric is based in Bengaluru. Puneet is an entrepreneur. A product strategy, customer engagement, and engineering solutions professional. He's founded and built multiple technology startups in the past, as well as this is what he's doing in the present. Previously, he founded App Unfold, APPUNFOLD, which was acquired by Atlanta-based user IQ. Then he founded Hanchu, a P2P marketplace for gamers. He worked with Vista Pointe, a network visibility and analytics solutions targeted at mobile operators, which was acquired by San Jose, California-based Brocade. He worked with British company Pace PLC, which later merged with Aris Group, which was acquired 2 years ago by network infrastructure provider Comscore. Overall, Puneet has 11 years of experience and he is a master's in science from Rutgers University in electrical and computer engineering. A very, very warm welcome to you, Puneet. Now over to you for your presentation.
Thank you so much, Anand. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. Really happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. As minor correction, I wasn't the founder of App Unfold. I was an early employee there. A founder will not be pleased if I took the credits. So,
Sorry about that.
no
Or maybe,
worries, no
yeah.
worries. So let me go ahead and share my screen. What I wanted to do today is just give an overview of Fabric and talk quickly about the metaverse ecosystem. Probably spend about 15-20 minutes, and then open it for a few questions as well. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Puneet, this is visible.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you once again for making time. I hope everyone is safe and well. Uh, so, let me start by stating the obvious. Right, everything in the world will become the metaverse. Everything will move into the metaverse. All the content, the experiences, the engagements, products, anything that we are experiencing or viewing on computer screens will transition into the metaverse. That's fairly clear, but what is not is the transition. We do not know the path into the metaverse over the next decade or so. At the moment, it feels time consuming, frustrating, and expensive. So this is where we as a company are trying to position ourselves and solve that problem by making it really easy for people to transition into the metaverse. So today, with just a few clicks, you can experience multiple uh, experiences, for a lack of a better word, either as an AR or a VR or XR 3D kind of experience using Fabric today. Most people don't know that, and hence it goes back to the previous slide. So Fabric essentially is the platform that allows users to quickly build metaverses on the browser within a few clicks. It's a no-code platform, and hence you don't need, you know, prerequisite awareness of software or specific tools to be able to do that. I this is something for all of our audiences who are probably not familiar with Hindi. This is, you know, oh, sorry, that's based on Hindi song "Ye Tera Ghar, Ye Mera Ghar." Uh, but essentially, here's a quick summary of what we are doing at Fabric, specifically in the B2B side. The intent is to help businesses transition from whatever documents, paperwork that they have into something that's 3D first and visual in nature. As people generally say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. A 3D model is probably worth 1,000 videos, which is worth 1,000 pictures. Let's say this is an oil rig as an example, where we're taking real world data and overlaying it on the 3D visuals and helping people drill down further based on problems that they already see, so that they can take corrective actions. Now, because this runs on a smartphone, it's really portable, easy to use, quick to deploy as well, and hence, the flexibility to create your own metaverse, and hence, the phrase "ye tera verse, ye mera verse." So it's a quick 1 minute summary of Fabric. Um, uh, in essence, what you can do with Fabric is aggregate various disparate pieces of knowledge, right? So today, if you think of service manual, the thing that comes to your mind is a PDF document or a printout that you carry along with you for anything that goes wrong. And these are generally outdated, and for any updates you have to go back to the OEM, you have to go back to the supplier to ensure that it's not updated, or you have the most recent copy before you go to the field. Think of anecdotal evidences. When we say anecdotal field evidence, it's essentially the guys who go to the ground field, fix those problems, make notes in their diaries, and when they retire they take the diary and go home, right? And in a lot of instances, the machines, especially in the machine tooling sector, machines last for many decades, and you have multiple generations of employees who work on those machines, and they have uh, you know uh, a lot of knowledge that gets lost every time they retire. So that's anecdotal evidence. Of course, real-time asset generated data is sensor information. Expert knowledge is knowledge coming from OEMs, and of course, maintenance history. I know we know there are a lot of historians already in play, but all of these are operating in silos today, and it is very 2D text based format in nature, and it requires a lot of cognitive burden to kind of make sense of it. So we put all of this as a 3D first experience, as a 3D dashboard, making it easy for the person on the ground to read, understand, make sense, and take corrective action. So, a quick summary of the team. I'm Puneet. I think Anand gave a very pleasant introduction, so I won't repeat that again. It was very nice of him. So I have Srini and Bhavish who are helping us at Fabric on sales and marketing. We've been fortunate enough to be a part of many competitions, and we won a few as well. These are the ones that we won. I won't mention the ones that we didn't win. It's probably a much longer list, but just to give you an idea. And there's a quick summary of the team. We are a 4-year-old startup based out of Bangalore with a primary focus on B2B use cases. So this comes to the question, right? Why now? Why not earlier? Why not 50 years ago? We've been working. Industrial revolution, industry 3.0 happened 200 years ago. Why did we have to wait for 200 more years before we could come up with something like this? Or a better question is, why not later? Everything is running fine, our machines are up and running, we are making the world run, we don't need such a technology as well, right? So it's a very interesting question. And as you can see how our work desk has evolved from the 70s to what we have today, which is a smartphone which will soon transition to a pair of glasses. The answer to this question now is critical, because now is the first time in history that the computation capabilities, so you can do a lot of complex calculations on devices as small as your smartphone. You and hence you can save really complex amount of information on small storable USB sticks, and hence storage is very cheap, easy. And of course, we have 4G and 5G. We have super fast internet that can transmit a lot of information in a matter of seconds, again on portable devices. So the convergence of really powerful computation combined with really cheap storage and better infrastructure has allowed us to do it now. Of course, this happened only now, and humans being in, I wouldn't say ingenious. It's human curiosity has forced this technology on us today. If we were not curious, we would have probably done this 50 years later. But being curious animals that we are doing it right now, and that's quite honestly the answer, right? So that's why now is the right time. uh, and so this is a question to everyone who's watching, listening, probably recorded, watching a recorded video later as well, if you've ever tried the metaverse, right? So when you think of the metaverse, people instantly think of the picture here, a person wearing a virtual reality headset with an immersive experience. It's not limited to that. Anything you do in augmented reality, if you have played Pokemon Go, that is also a kind of metaverse. If you've played a game on your phone or your laptop where you have a 3D world, that's a very early, I'm thinking Doom 3 in the late 90s, early 90s kind of era where you were playing computer games, which is 16-bit, 32-bit. That's also a metaverse. So invariably, people would have tried. It is just you didn't know what to call it, and thanks to Facebook for making it more popular, now we have metaverse, which is a very common term now that people are expected to know. Right. So go back to all of your experiences with the metaverse. What was wrong with it? What were the gaps? Right. Typically, you'll invariably hit the wall. You'll say, look, the I need to know specific tools. I need to write code in one dimension to visualize something in 2D, 3D, in 3D space. Right. So that has been the principal challenge for people, businesses, enterprises to transition into the metaverse, which is not the case, no longer needed, because with Fabric we are trying to solve that problem. But essentially, that has been the challenge. That has been the point of hesitancy for businesses, business leaders across sectors to adopting metaverse, and that's the gap that one needs to solve. But also remember that this gap is already solved. It is very easy to sample the metaverse as it exists today and slowly move into a 3D first ecosystem rather than sticking with 2D or text based. So I just wanted to close this conversation with the three different use cases within the machine tooling space that we've worked on, so that it gives the viewers an idea of what is possible. So one of the first cases is asset monitoring. So what we have is, excuse me, something called as a 30,000 feet to 30 feet view, where it's essentially a bird's eye view to a worm's eye view. So let me go from the worm's eye view. So you have field technicians on the ground who go and maintain machines day in, day out. They carry a manual, they carry a checklist, and they go to each machine where something is broken and they try to fix it. It's a very, you know, crude process. You go, you discover a fault, you come back, you take the right tools, you go and come back, and so on, right? Of course, sensors are solving that to a large extent, where they're trying to do predictive maintenance, or at least say the temperature on this machine is very high, something might break, go fix it. There's some amount of technology that's added there. We take that a bit further. At the ground level, we visualize the asset as a 3D experience, where you see the CAD drawing of the asset, and the entire instructions is an animation. It is not a 30 page, 50 page, 100-page manual. It is a step by step guided walkthrough in 3D that tells the field technician what he needs to do. And also, in certain instances, we're able to verify what he does. So what that does is it takes the interpretation problem away. It doesn't. We are no longer dependent on language. Person may interpret English language, or we are only talking of English, but the interpretation can be in multiple ways. So we remove that error introduced by interpretation. And if a person is doing this 100 times, 200 times a day, they're prone to introduce some errors as well. So remove that. So that becomes this happens for every asset on a factory floor, on an assembly line, across all factory floors around the world. So that's our worm's eye view. And all of this data gets captured, gets aggregated into a single place where you're able to visualize your entire facility in 3D, which was a sample video that I shared, where you're able to see all of these assets, its health, and various uh, maintenance activities that are being performed today at a bird's eye view, where you see it as 3D experiences with your sensor data telling you what is its current health, what are the failure parameters, when might it fail, what is the instruction you need to follow, what was the most recent maintenance that was done, and so on. Right, so that becomes a bird's eye view, which translates, which moves from work instructions, the first one that I explained, to asset monitoring, where you're able to visualize and monitor all your assets in real time. And there's one more level which we call, so for us it's the 30 feet view followed by the 3000 feet view, and there's 30,000 feet view. 30,000 feet view is for the CEOs, CTOs, the operations guys who are managing multiple factory floors, managing KPIs of their business, right? So they may have four or five different facilities, each producing components that get assembled in a different facility, right? So there are dependencies across facilities, and so they're able to monitor KPIs then through an integrated command control center, on, or in our case becomes a virtual integrated command and control center. So they'll start with the KPIs, drill down to each facilities, ensure everything is in order, or if something is broken, assign jobs, ensure that is done, or if someone is performing really well, move the same best practice across other facilities. So because everything is digitized, everything is visual and captured in a central location, becomes really easy for everyone else within the system to replicate as well. So broadly, those are the three use cases that I've talked about, where you're looking at asset monitoring at an individual machine level or at a facility level, work instructions, which is what the field technician does, and product user manuals, which is more of how can you support the customer when the asset is not functioning, or how can you support customers at pre-sales, and it kind of boils down to visualizing for specific use cases or specific needs. So broadly, yeah, so that's what we're doing at Fabrik. Here's a summary slide. There are multiple players operating in multiple segments within the ecosystem. This technology has been around for a while. People have been doing a fair bit of things in this space. Where we try to differentiate ourselves is by ensuring that uh, we are a one-stop solution. Our goal is to ensure there are no silos in the entire ecosystem. Everything operates under a single roof. So to that extent, be it work instructions, collaborative tools, using specific devices, wearables, right? The moment you look at a wearable, you look at a HoloLens. HoloLens is quite expensive today. It is not mainstream, and there are certain ergonomic issues that one needs to solve as well. We remove that by running on a browser, for example, right? So be it retail or specific use cases, we've tried to put everything under one roof, so that you do not have to look at multiple pieces of software and technology or solutions to solve a specific problem. Invariably we would be able to solve that. And our strength is that we are able to deliver these capabilities on powerful capabilities on portable devices like a smartphone, and that gives us an edge today vis-a-vis our competitors as well. So that's a quick summary of Fabric, the Metaverse, the entire ecosystem. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and my coordinates are on the screen if anyone wants to reach out as
Many thanks, Puneet, for that incredibly fascinating and informative presentation. I have so many questions that I'm afraid I'll not be able to ask all of them in a given amount of time, but I have a few
well.
at the top of my agenda, which I uh, of which I'll ask the first question. And in short, I'll sum up what the question is about, and then I'll also explain where the question comes from. The question is that what is the genesis of this idea? The reason I'm asking this question is that your earlier experience with the app Unfold, which obviously you were not the founder, to clarify again that you worked with, and the other apps that you founded uh, were mostly on the product analytics and engagement platform, for instance, uh, mostly on the consumer side. Now, this idea and Fabric is a very large platform in scope, um, and in expanse. You're covering so many industries. I saw that you one of the solutions that you offer is a digital twin, for instance. The other solution that you offer is integrated command control center for smart cities. So in ambition and scope, this is huge in comparison with the apps that you founded or worked with in the past. So what is the genesis of idea from that context?
Okay, that's a very interesting question, Anand. Honestly, when we started off, we wanted to see where back in the day it was AR, VR, immersive technologies, right? I wanted to understand where all it can be applicable. So we started doing our homework in early 2018, where we met with customers in aerospace, electrical, uh, retail, a lot of early conversations where we realized that there is a potential solution for each of these sectors, each of the use cases. Because ultimately, what we are doing is we are fundamentally, or we along with our peers in this operating in the immersive space, we're fundamentally rethinking how content is consumed, right? So for ages, for thousands of years, we've looked at our evolution where people have early humanity, they started writing on walls, tablets, then they moved to papyrus and paper, and we've read all of that in our history books, to where we are today, which is computer screens, tablets, and smartphones. The form factor is still 2D, right? So it's always been 2D. You draw, you consume, everything is in 2D. And 3D was only in the theaters with these special glasses that you would wear. Were very, very rare occasions, right? But that's changed now, which means humanity will naturally progress into the realm of 3D, and 3D would be the default way of consuming information. So that was a realization that dawned on us honestly fairly early in our journey, and hence we are in this position where we can impact the way people can consume 3D information. So that has been our attempt by looking at multiple use cases across sectors to see if we can add value. How can we add value? And that also feeds back into our learning because we understand how different sectors, different audiences use the application. So that is how the vision is kind of evolved, starting from looking at how virtual reality can solve collaboration as a use case to something that is more comprehensive.
Excellent, excellent. And as a user, from a user perspective, from a consumer perspective, I feel that there's a fourth dimension also that you've captured through your solutions, which is time. With your solutions, you are able to simulate future circumstances, and you're able to predict whether it is for maintenance or decision taking. So I believe that there's a fourth dimension in play in these solutions as well. And frankly, I'm quite amazed as well as inspired that you find so much scope, and uh, faith in the manufacturing industry, given the kind of time that it has gone through in the last 2 years, to be offering solutions that are absolutely very rightly needed and very rightly timed. My next question to you is, I see that you have customers in retail across verticals. Uh, Puneet, what are the key considerations? What are the biggest considerations that customers have, particularly in India, when they approach you, when they approach this platform?
In a lot of these instances, customers in India they're discovering the technology, right? So it was something that was nice to have, something that was, for a lack of a better word, a gimmick 5 years ago, right? Where people said, "Oh yeah, that looks nice, but what will I use it for in the real world?" And for most technologies, that is how it would have started. But now we've reached a point where the value of the technology is proven, right? And customers are looking to understand how they can tap into that value for their business. So the value is there for them to leverage on. What KPIs, what metrics, what business parameters can I improve by leveraging these technologies is what customers in India and around the world they're trying to figure out. Because it's early days, uh, you know, we are at this point where we are trying to define the success metrics for various use cases for all of the customers. The good part is, because we've been operating in India for the last 4 years, we've had customers and Indian leadership who are making calls on this, and they are more or less on par with the rest of the world as well. Give or take a difference of maybe 5 or 10%. Someone would have started 6 months earlier vis-a-vis someone starting a few months later. So more or less, India, the decision making in India is on par with a lot of decisions that are being made by the global peers as well, and they're trying to discover what the use cases are. And one of the benefits that we have is, we've been around, fortunately survived the pandemic. We've actually did well during the pandemic, and we understood the technology, and we are one of the few players around the world who understand the space reasonably well. So that also gives a little bit of a head start for us.
Thanks, Puneet. My final question is that to a user, to a potential user, or let's say to an SME manufacturer, particularly in the space of automotive or electronics manufacturing or aerospace, how can a typical potential user can start with Fabric, and what are the potential benefits that this user can accrue from this experience?
So what I'd recommend is, to all of our users, we generally say our platform is out there for them to use. It's not, all you need is a login and a password. You can log into the application today. We're still improving user experience. That is something that we'll continually work on over the next 10 years. We'll have a lot of improvements to make, but it's very easy to just register on our website, login. It takes less than 30 seconds. Then just explore the platform, put a CAD drawing, try to create one or two animations, workflows that can be consumed on a smartphone. We have enough videos online to help users kind of go through a tutorial and be comfortable with using the tool. The idea of doing this is, because we expect people to transition into a 3D world, there's a fair bit of education that we need to do so that they themselves are convinced that this is the future. Only then will our customers take it to their customers. So first we need to make users comfortable to use the metaverse, use 3D, be very familiar and comfortable. And that's the first step that we're trying to solve. Once they're convinced, then the conversation is different. It's no longer about, how do I do this. It is, how do I achieve 20% efficiency improvement over the next 5 years. So that's the best way to get started. Again, my coordinates are on the screen. I'd be happy to assist or guide anyone to try out our platform, or in general try out the metaverse ecosystem and see what are the possibilities. And then the subsequent conversations become easier for any kind of use case.
Thanks, Puneet. And I'm personally very grateful as a reader to be having such a solution, because we see that the existing legacy software solutions do not have much scope for particularly the new generation solutions like digital twin that you offer. So I really personally hope, and my best wishes for your enterprise. And this is going to reach out to a lot many manufacturers, and I'll urge them to explore this platform. uh, Digital twin, for we have been talking a lot about that technology in the last seven days, and suddenly people have found during the pandemic that it could come to their aid in lot many different ways, in particular collaborating with their partners in the UK and the US, for instance. So do please check out this platform. My best wishes to you, Puneet, uh, through our magazine and other areas. I'd advise our readers to go to this platform, check out the different solutions. Thank you so much for your time for today, um, and have a brilliant day ahead.
Thank you so much, and it was a pleasure to be a part of the conversation. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. You have a great day as well.
You too. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.